if you zoom out of the whole thing and you say, why does the iPod exist? Why is Apple successful in this business? What would the answer be? It would be because the Japanese consumer electronics companies, who were the preeminent hardware makers of consumer electronics until recently, couldn't do software as well as needed to be done, right?
Yep.
If you really look at the iPod, it's software. It's a software product in beautiful hardware. It's software in the device. It's, as we said, software on the PC or the Mac, and it's software in the cloud with the store. It's software wrapped in a beautiful package. And the Japanese consumer electronics companies couldn't make the leap to create that kind of software. And that's why Apple enjoys the success it does with the iPod. If you look at handsets, it looks very similar. The handset manufacturers have got their hardware down, but they haven't been able to make the leap to software. And just like with Plays for Sure and stuff, Microsoft has some software that they can go license, but it's on a fairly small number of phones, and it's of a certain caliber. And so if you really look at an iPhone, it's software wrapped in really wonderful hardware. And so people, the usual suspects, will try to copy the hardware. And it will take them some time, and maybe they will, and maybe they won't be able to copy the hardware. But the software is at least 5 years ahead of anything we've seen out there. And it's really hard to do it. We've spent years working on this, but remember that we started with an operating system that we've been working on for well over a decade when we started. And we started with a browser, Safari, which is what's in iPhone, which is regarded by many as the best browser in the world.
All right, but I have to stop you there.
Yeah.
Does the iPhone, it doesn't really have the entire Mac OS X operating system, which is gigabytes and gigabytes on the computer. It doesn't really have the entire Safari browser, which I don't know how much space it takes up, but yeah, more than you've got on the phone, right? I mean.
So the answer is yes, it does. And the entire Mac operating system is, when you get it on a disk, is gigabytes. A lot of it's data. If you take out the data.
What do you mean by data?
Well, we don't need
foreign languages?
Yeah, and we don't need every desktop pattern that we ship. We don't need every sound file that we ship. If you take out the data, the operating system is actually not that huge. And if you look at Safari, Safari is not that huge. No, it's got real OS X, real Safari, real desktop email, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we own those apps, so we could take Safari and take all of that work that we put into it and put a very different user interface on it to work with the multi-touch screen. And if you don't own a browser, that's pretty hard to do. So it's an amazing amount of software.